subgroup's definition. Please read it from the text. I will just tell you the definition for it. That's it. Meaning of the definition. The definition, actual definition, you have to read it from the text which I have posted in the Google Classroom and LMS. Okay, it's nothing simple. Um, a group G is there. Okay, you have to find a subset H of G. Okay, subset of G. H should be a subset of G, the group G. Then H is said to be a subgroup. We can say H is a subgroup of G if, okay, if H forms a group under the same operation of G. This is the meaning, under the same operation of G. If G is group under addition, then H should also form a group under addition. If G is multiplication, H should form multiplication. Okay. If G is addition, H should not form a group under multiplication. Then we cannot say that H is a subgroup of G. So this is the actual meaning of subgroup. Okay. Next, let us say some examples. Let's get some examples. Example: G is equal to Z plus, that is set of integers under the operation plus. Now I am just taking H to be 2, yes, 2Z, sorry, 2Z, which is nothing but set of all even integers. Okay, 2Z is nothing but multiply 2 with all the integers Z. So the result will be even integers. So I am just telling that H will be a subgroup of G. Okay. So in order to check whether H is a subgroup of G, it should form a group under the same operation of G. Here the operation of G is plus. So it should be a group under the same operation plus. Now we have to check 4 conditions. What are the conditions? First, closure. If we add 2 even integers, we will get even integers. Okay, A is even integer plus B is an even integer. You will get C, which is also an even integer, where A comma B belongs to H. Okay, A is an even integer, B is an even integer. Added 2 even integers will give me an even integer. Therefore, closure is satisfied. It will be C. It will be in H. Okay. Next, associative. Since H plus, the associative will be satisfied. Third condition, identity. Identity, you know it. 0 is the identity element. Okay, and 0 is an even number. Therefore, 0 belongs to H. And inverse. Okay, if inverse is, let us say A belongs to H, we have to find the inverse of it, that is A inverse. Since H plus, we have inverse as minus A. Therefore, A plus of minus A equal to 0. Now A is an even integer, the negation of it will also be an even integer. Hence, the inverse element exists in H. For every element in H, there exists an inverse element in H. A plus of minus A is 0. Let me slightly become 1. Okay. Now, the example is given, and I want you to find certain examples. Okay, only with the examples, construction examples, you can learn this subject. Okay, I've just given you an example. There are lots and lots of examples. Maybe one more I can give it to you. Maybe you check whether, just check whether it is a group or not. Okay, let G equal to, second example, let G equal to G L N R, or maybe 2 or, okay, this is a group G, and I'm defining H to be set of all 2 by 2 matrices A, B, C, D, such that AD minus BC is equal to 1. GL of 2R is nothing but set of all 2 by 2 matrices A, B, C, D, such a way that AD minus BC is not equal to 0. So GL to R, determinant should not be equal to 0. That's GL to R. Okay, and A, B, C, D belongs to the real numbers R. Okay, then GL to R. H is nothing but straight a condition is imposed. That is, the determinant should be equal to 1. Okay, that's H. And H forms a subgroup of G. Please check all the 4 conditions, and definitely it will satisfy it. Okay. Now, coming to the next topic or lemma, following lemma. Lemma, no, I will just prove it. A non-empty subset H of a group, a non-empty subset H of a group G is a subgroup of G if and only if, okay, if and only if they are given two conditions, if and only if A comma B belongs to H implies that AB belongs to H. That is, A and B are operated. Okay, as I said earlier in the class, all the operations are mentioned in the terms of multiplication. Okay, you can change it similarly according to the operation. If it is plus, you can write it as A plus B, and if it is star, you can use it as A star B. Similarly, second one, A belongs to H implies A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. So we are going to prove this. The proof is very simple. Let me explain the lemma. What they are trying to say is a subset H of a subgroup G, subset H of a group G is a subgroup of G if and only if A comma B belongs to H implies that AB belongs to H, which is nothing but closure property, and second property is inverse property. That is, you don't need to check all the four conditions for a subset to become a subgroup. Just check whether only closure and inverse. Okay, this is what the lemma is about. You need not check all the four conditions. Just check whether closure is satisfied and inverse is satisfied. Inverse property is satisfied. That will do. Okay, let us prove how it is going to satisfy. Okay, now since it is if and only if condition, okay, it is given if and only if, as I said earlier, if and only if, that is, we have to prove the lemma in both the directions. Okay, so first we will assume that, okay, I'll write it, let G be a group, let G be a group. I'm not defining the operation, okay. G be a group, any operation, so I'm just using G be a group. H be a subset of G and H be a subset of G okay, a subset of G. Now coming to the assumption, a subset or non-empty subset, you can even include non-empty subset. Okay, that's right, non-empty, it should be non-empty subset. Now first thing is, what you have to assume is H is a subgroup of G. Then you have to assume, and you have to prove that these two conditions are true. First, assume that H is a subgroup of G. Okay. Then we need to prove that these two conditions holds. We need to prove that A comma B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H, and A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. Okay, this is what we need to prove. But since H is a subgroup of G, since H is a subgroup of G, all the four conditions will be satisfied. Okay, since H is a subgroup of G, H forms a group under the same operation of G. Okay, H forms a group, thus it satisfies all the four conditions. Therefore, it satisfies 1 and 2. Okay, so thus we have proved the one part of the theorem. Now converse part. Converse part is you have to assume that H satisfies these two, then prove that H is a subgroup of G. Okay. The converse part, the reverse direction. Okay. Conversely, conversely, suppose that H satisfies the following conditions. What are the conditions? Closure and inverse. A comma B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H and A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. Okay, suppose it satisfies the condition. Now we need to prove that H is a subgroup of G. Okay, in order to prove H is a subgroup of G, we need to prove that H forms a group under the same operation of G. Forms a group under the same operation of G. Okay, that is H should form a group. Therefore, four conditions should be satisfied. Closure, it should satisfy closure, it should satisfy associative, it should satisfy identity, and it should satisfy inverse. Okay, H forms a group under the same operation of G. So we need to say that H satisfies all the four conditions. Now, first, closure. Okay, closure property, that is A comma B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H. Okay, and we know that we assume that H satisfies the closure property. Therefore, closure is proved. Okay, closure is satisfied. Second one, associative. We have to prove associative. That is A, B, C is equal to A, B, C for all A, comma B, comma C belongs to H. Okay. Now, this is true for all the elements in G. Suppose this is G. I have just drawn a circle. This is G, and inside is H. Okay. Now, in G, this is true for all the elements in G. That is, this condition is property is true for all the elements in G. Okay. I don't know, something happened. Okay. I just came back. All the elements in G. Therefore, it should be satisfied for H also, since H is a subgroup of G. Therefore, associative is true for H. Okay. Since G is a group, associative holds in G. Associativity holds in G, and H is a subset of G associativity or associative property or associativity holds in H. Okay, and the associativity is proved. Next, identity. We have to prove identity element is in H. That is, problem in we cannot argue the same logic here also. Since identity exists for all G, identity exists for all H, and you cannot argue, because we have to show that, if this is G and this is H, since it's a subset, and we need to show that E is present here. Okay, suppose if E is present here, it is not present here, then H is not a subgroup. Okay, in order to be H to be a subgroup, then E should be inside the H, not outside the H. That's what we need to show, that E, the identity element of G, is also an identity element of H. Okay, so that's what we need to prove. Okay, now since closure is satisfied, okay, and inverse axiom is satisfied, let A belongs to H. Okay, and we know that the H satisfies the inverse property also. That is, if A belongs to H, then implies A inverse belongs to H. Hence, A inverse is equal to the closure. A inverse belongs to H, right? Since the closure property is satisfied, H satisfies the closure property. A belongs to H, A inverse belongs to H. The operation between them also belongs to H. Closure is satisfied. Okay. Now, what is A inverse? E. That is, E belongs to H. Hence, we have proved the identity property, or identity is present in H. Now, the final condition inverse, and there is nothing to prove since we assume that the H satisfies the closure and inverse property. That is, there exists an element. Okay, I'm sorry. Inverse is nothing but A belongs to G. If A belongs to H, sorry, not G. If A belongs to H, if A belongs to H, then A inverse belongs to H. Okay, this is what we need to prove, and it is already proved. We just assume that this is true. Okay, so there's nothing to prove for inverse. Hence, H forms a subgroup of G. ஸோ சப்குரூப்பில் இருக்கும்போது மட்டும் சப்செட்டாக இருக்கும்போது மட்டும் ரெண்டு கண்டிஷன் இருந்தாலே சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை ஆனாலே போதும். என்னென்னா க்ளோஷர் இன்வர்ஸ், ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக மிச்சம் இருக்க ரெண்டும் உள்ளே ஓடி வந்துடும். ஓகே, தட்ஸ் வாட் த லெம்மா சேஸ். ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட் லெம்மா, if H is a non-empty finite subset, if H is a non-empty finite subset, of a group G, and H is a closed under multiplication, or it's one step process. Okay, H is closed under multiplication. I said earlier, all the lemmas are given under multiplication. Don't worry, you can change it to be addition. Okay, addition now you can change it. For any operation you can change this. Then H is a subgroup of G. The important logic or property here is this one. Okay, அதுதான் the important முக்கியம். It's finite logic வந்து it's important. Okay, finite is very important if you can do this. I have to stress on that, otherwise we will forget it. In a previous lemma and this lemma there is a difference, and it is for any subset. This is true only for finite subset. Okay, this is one step process. One step. Now you can check only closure. Okay, no need to check even for inverses. Automatically all the three conditions will be satisfied. Okay, if H is closed means closure. If H satisfies the closure property and H is a finite subset, then it will be a subgroup of G. Okay, very important lemma. These two lemmas are very important. Okay, let's see how we can prove this. Similarly, let G be a group. And H be a finite. Okay, finite is important. Finite subset of G. It's non-empty. It is assumed that it is a non-empty. Okay. Same logic. We need to show that H is a subgroup of G. To prove H is a subgroup of G. That is, H forms a group under the same operation of G. So, in order to prove H is a group, we need to prove 4 conditions: closure, associative, identity, and inverse. Now, according to the previous theorem, previous lemma, if it is a subset, either it is finite or infinite, if it is a subset, then we need to check only the closure and inverse. Okay, closure and inverse. இப்போ இங்கே ஏற்கனவே வந்து it is given that it is closure வந்து it is true, it is given closure and set வந்து it is satisfied. Question it is given, lemma it is given. So the only thing we need to find is inverse. So inverse condition it is satisfied பண்ணாலே it will form a subgroup of G. From the previous lemma, இந்த மாதிரி previous lemma நீங்கள் வந்து if you are using it, then you have to quote the lemma statement or proof depending upon the marks. If the question, this particular lemma is asked for 8 marks, then you have to quote this previous lemma statement. என்ன statement, lemma statement நீ மனப்பாடம் பண்ணி நீ எழுதணும். Okay, boxman போட்டு you can write it. If it is for 20 marks, you have to write the proof of the particular previous lemma and statement and proof of it. Okay, lemma எழுதணும், proof எழுதணும். You have to write both. So in the previous lemma, the above one we just before we just saw, it is sufficient to check for, it is sufficient to show that H satisfies the closure and inverse property. Okay. It is already given that it is, okay, this is what we need to prove. Now we assume that, okay, let us assume that H satisfies closure property. Okay, only closure property only. That is, if A comma B belongs to H, then AB belongs to H. Okay, it satisfies. This is what we need to assume. Then we need to prove that it is inverse property exists. Inverse property exists ஆகுது. It is sufficient. What is inverse property? Inverse property is nothing but given any element A belongs to G, if A belongs to H, then A inverse belongs to H. This is what we need to prove. Okay. Now the only condition is the closure is only satisfied. Okay, the closure is only satisfied. Therefore, if A belongs to H, then A inverse belongs to H. We are going to prove. Let A belongs to H. And since the closure is satisfied, since H satisfies the closure property, A square belongs to H, comma, A cube, A power 4, dot dot dot, A power m, dot dot dot, all will belong to H. Okay, these are commas. This is no multiplication commas. A cube belongs to H, A power 4 belongs to H, A power m, sum m belongs to H or sum m. Okay, every power of A will be in H. Okay, every power of A, not M, every power of A will be in the subset H. But it is, as you see that a, so the H contains H, the set H contains a square, a cube, a power 4, dot dot dot, a power m, dot dot dot. Okay, this is infinite. Okay, seeing the set, this is infinite collection of it. Okay, as the power runs in. But we have assumed that it is given that H is a finite set. Okay, it is given that H is a finite set. Given that H is a finite set. Thus, but இதுக்குள்ள infinite இருக்கு அப்படின்றத notation இருக்குன்றத they are mentioning. That means what? So at some stage the things are getting repeated. Thus, for some k, the values, thus after some k, thus for some k, thus after some k. Okay, that's the right word you should use. Thus after some k, after some k, the values a power k plus 1, comma a power k plus 2, dot dot dot, gets repeated. Okay, in the sequence of day it gets repeated. Okay, hence there exist integers r and s such that r is greater than s, it is greater than 0, and a power r equal to a power s. Correct? Yes, this is true. Either some element and some power element will be equal since it's going to be repeated, and the element I am just taking it to be a power r and a power s. You can take any element, I am just taking r and s, and both are greater than 0, and r is strictly greater than 0. Okay, now by the cancellation law, a power r equal to a power s, using the cancellation property, we can say that a power r minus s equal to e. Correct? Let it be equation 1. A power r minus s is equal to e. Now, since r is greater than s, okay, we know that r is greater than s, r minus s is greater than 0. Correct? R is greater than s, therefore r minus s is positive, which implies r minus s, applying minus 1 on both sides, minus 1 greater than or equal to 0. Is it true? Can you understand this? Can you understand this logic? R minus s is positive, but if I include minus 1, I subtract 1 on the left side, it may be greater than, still greater than, or it may can be equal to 0. That is, if r is 3 and s is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, is greater than 0. But again, once again, if I reduce 1 minus 1 becomes 0. So r minus s minus 1 can be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, thus, which implies a power r minus s minus 1 belongs to h. As I already said, this particular element will be in the h, because a power letter, whatever element power can be, it will be in h. Okay, so a power r minus s minus 1 belongs to h. Okay, therefore a power r minus s into A inverse belongs to H, right? You can write A power R minus 1 minus 1 as A power R minus 1 into A power minus 1 belongs to H. We know that A power R minus is 1E, okay? Therefore, E into A power minus 1 A inverse belongs to H, which implies A inverse belongs to H. Hence, we have proved that if A belongs to H, then A inverse belongs to H. Hence, it satisfies the inverse property. It satisfies the inverse property. Thus, H is a subgroup of G. Thus, H forms a subgroup of G. Next, let us give us some example of a subgroup. Okay. Now, let G is equal to Z8 comma plus or modulo plus 8. Okay. Z8 comma plus. Now, we are going to find the subgroup of G. So, let Z8 equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 7. Okay. 0, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now, what we need to show that we know that Z8 is a group. I am just going to consider H equal to 0, 2, 4. I am going to check whether this is a subgroup. H is a subgroup of Z8. So, for that I have to check whether the closure and inverse satisfies. But since H is finite here, H has only 3 elements, H is finite. So, according to the second lemma, it is sufficient to show the closure alone. You don't need to show the inverse property. Okay, it is sufficient to prove the closure property. Okay, so H equal to 0 plus 0. 0 plus 0 is 0, which is in this particular element. Okay, next is 0 plus 2. 2. Next is 0 plus 4. 4. Next 2 plus 4, which is nothing but 6, which is not in this particular set. Hence, closure is not satisfied. 2, 4. Okay, 2e, 4e, if you add it, you'll get 6, but that 6 number is not in this particular H. Therefore, closure is not satisfied. Therefore, H is not a subgroup, not subgroup of G. Okay, this is a non-example. Okay. So, what can be an example of or a subgroup for this particular G? Maybe 0. Identity element should be in the subgroup, so start with 0. Next, maybe 3, 6, 0, 3, 6. Let us see. Just see. 0 plus 0, 0, 0 plus 3, 3, 0 plus 6, 6. Similarly, 3 plus 6, 9. Isn't it is 1, but 1 is not here. Therefore, it is not a subgroup. Okay. Let us find another example which is somewhat easier. 0, 2, 4, 6. I think this works. 0, 2, 4, 6. Now we have to check whether the closure property. 0 plus anything, it will be in here, so we need only check it. So 2 plus 4 is 6, which is inside the set. Yes. Next to 2 plus 6, 8, which is nothing but 0. Okay. So therefore inside the set it's satisfied. Next 4 plus 6, 10, which is nothing but 2, which is also inside the H. Therefore the closure gets satisfied. Hence this particular H is a subgroup of G. This H is subgroup of G, whereas this is not and this is not. Okay, you understood the meaning of the subgroup. Okay, this is how we need to check the subgroup. Next, we move on to the important definition, cyclic group. Definition, cyclic group. Okay, suppose G is a group and G contains many elements. Okay, G contains say A1 or E2 or E3 dot 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 dot, it just goes on many elements, infinite or finite, whatever it is. Okay, G is a group and G is equal to, I'm just contain it. Okay, if I can find an element, if okay, we should not use that term, or there exists is the right term. If okay, I'm sorry. If there exists an element here, X belongs to G, such that that entire G, okay, entire element is generated by a single element X, that is X power n equal to E. X power n is equal to E. Okay, for an n belongs to integer. This is very important. For X power n equal to E, okay, that's not right actually. Actually, it's right, but only it's in right in finite interval. For general, we should not use this. X power n use பண்ணக்கூடாது. Such that that entire G is generated by this particular X. Okay, then we use this particular notation generated by X. For example, if G is written like this, G is equal to A1, A2, A3 dot dot dot, then I have to raise the power of X. Okay, if the G is under multiplication, okay, if the G is under multiplication, assume that G is under multiplication. Okay, let us assume that. Okay, so if G is under multiplication, then I should raise X. Okay, I got the X here inside it. Next X square, next X cube, next X power, up to I should just do this, up to I just find a number n such that that power n will fetch me E. Okay, I have to raise the power of X overall again and again such a way that up to I get the identity element of this particular group G, I have to expand this and I have to stop it. And if this particular set generated by X is equal to G, then we say that G is a cyclic group generated by X. Can you understand it? Okay. We will see the example. Okay. This is changed. This can be changed in place. Okay. Place on the changes to, instead of power, you have to multiply with the number. For example, we take the same element Z6. So Z6 equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am taking the value 5. Okay, 5. I am just taking the element 5 from here. Next, what I am doing is, if the group is under multiplication, I have to raise the power. Since the group is under plus, I have to multiply it with the numbers. That is, first I have to do 1 into 5. 5. Next, 2 into 5. 10. 10 is nothing but 4. Okay. Next, 3 into 5. 3 into 5, 15. So 15 is nothing but 3. 4 into 5, 22. 5 into 5, 25, 1. So 6 into 5, 30. Yes, the identity elements comes. The 0 is the identity element of this. So once you encounter the 0 value, when you just multiplying with the number, you have to stop it. Okay. So less it you have to multiply it. If it is power, you have to raise this 5 power 1, 5 power 2, 5 power 3, 5 power 4, 5 power 5, 5 power 6. You should get it. Okay. So since it is the group under place, you have to multiply it. That's it. So the set eventually what you got is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, which is same as this. Hence, Z6 is cyclic, generated by the element 5. Okay. Now let's check for 4. Okay, let's check with another element 4 whether that also generates the group. Okay, we'll check with 4. 1 into 4, 4. 2 into 4, 8, which is nothing but 2. 3 into 4 is 12, which is 0. That's it. You have to close it. Once you encounter 0, you have to close it. So this particular 4 generates 0, 2, 4. This is not equal to G. Therefore, this is not a cyclic group. But this particular element 0, 2, 4 is called cyclic subgroup. Though it is not a cyclic group, we can call it to be cyclic subgroup of G. Okay, though it does not give the entire group, it just gives some subgroup of it. So you can say it as cyclic subgroup of G. Okay, and naturally a question may occur: can a group have more than one generators? Yes, yes, we can have more than one generator. It need not have a unique generator. Okay, for example, in this particular Z6 group, 1 is a generator. Okay, and 5 is a generator. Others don't generate. Only 1 and 5 generates this particular group. Hence, 1 and 5 are generators of Z6. Okay. Sorry, of Z6. Similarly, given any seed, you should be able to find the generators of it. Okay. Now, coming to next definition, an important definition. Let G be a group H a subgroup of G for A comma B belongs to G. We can say that A is congruent to B mod H. Okay, A congruent to D mod H. This is what we need to pronounce. Okay, if A D inverse belongs to the subgroup H. Okay, A B inverse. A B inverse belongs to H. Okay, this is what the definition is. Congruent relation be defined with respect to a subgroup G. Okay, now we will prove this particular congruent relation is an equivalence relation. That's the next lemma. So, lemma, the relation A congruent to B modulus H is an equivalence relation. This is very simple proof. So, in order to prove an equivalence class, we need to prove reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. Symmetric and transitive. Okay. In order to prove a relation is an equivalence relation, we need to prove it is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. Okay. So first we prove it is the reflexive. It holds the reflexive property. That is reflexive property. So A congruent B mod H. That is reflexive means let A belongs to G, then A should be congruent to itself. That's reflexive, right? We need to prove that. To prove A congruent to A mod H, this is what we need to prove. That is A inverse belongs to H, which implies A inverse is E. E belongs to H. Yes, it's true. E belongs to H. Since H is a subgroup of G, H is a group. Therefore, identity element will be in H. Therefore, A inverse will be H. Therefore, so reflexive is satisfied. Okay. Now, symmetric. Symmetric, similarly, if A is congruent to B mod H, then we need to prove that B is congruent to A mod H. This is what we need to prove for A comma B belongs to G. The group G. This is what we need to prove. So since we have to assume that A is congruent to B, then I can write it as A B inverse belongs to H. Okay, since A B inverse belongs to H, its inverse also belongs to H. AB inverse is a single element, it belongs in the subgroup, so its inverse also belongs in the subgroup, that is AB inverse, the whole inverse also belongs to H. Using the Sawk-Shu property, what I get is B inverse the whole inverse, A inverse belongs to H, that is BA inverse belongs to H, that is therefore B is congruent to A mod H. Now the final one, the congruent, so transitive relation. If A is congruent to B mod H and B is congruent to C mod H, then A is congruent to C mod H. This is what we need to prove. Since A is congruent to B mod H, then we can write it as AB inverse belongs to H and BC inverse belongs to H. Now to prove that, we need to prove AC inverse belongs to H. Okay, this is what we need to prove. So AB inverse belongs to H and BC inverse belongs to H. Since H is a subgroup, it is also a group and closure satisfied in it. Therefore, AB inverse operated with BC inverse belongs to H, the closure property. Now using the associative, I get A, B inverse B, C inverse belongs to H. B inverse B is E, therefore A, E, C inverse belongs to H. Therefore, A, C inverse belongs to H, which implies A is congruent to C mod H. Hence the lemma. Hence we have proved that congruence class is an equivalence relation. Okay. So thank you for watching. We will see in the next class.